What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. In today's episode, it's harvest day, and we're going to be harvesting our potatoes. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. What the heck? You're harvesting potatoes right now? That seems like it's super early. And to be honest, it is pretty early. I don't necessarily know why it's as early as it is. I can attribute some of that to the varieties we planted, which I'll talk about in a second. But all that still considered, it's still pretty early. Now, I don't know what we're going to get. That's one of the fun things about planting potatoes is I have no idea what we're going to get. I have not been digging around here seeing what I can find. I just simply let the plants grow, and then when the plants die is when they're ready to be harvested. So essentially these plants are done. They're not going to be growing anymore. This row right here is a later variety, which again we'll talk about in a second, but we planted a combination of some early season and late season variety of potatoes, and the early season died pretty early. So we're going to see what we got. But let's talk about the varieties we planted, and then we'll start pulling. All right, so let's go through the three different varieties that we planted here, because we always go with pretty much the same three varieties. We don't like to stray too much from them, because we find that they do well in our garden, they do well in our climate, and we also like to eat them. That's kind of one of the big things that decides what varieties we pick, is you want to pick a variety that you're going to enjoy. And so we have here, this is the Kennebec. That's a late season variety. As you can tell, still pretty late. It's not even close to dying back yet. It did flower already, which is a sign that it is producing tubers, potatoes. And so it did flower. The flowers have since fallen off, but it's still green, it's still standing up. It's really not yellowing all that much, so these are going to stay. These are the Kennebecs. Then we have here the Pontiac Red. Now the Pontiac Red is an earlier season potato. They're going to be somewhere in the tune of 75 to 85 days for maturity. And we planted them in late April, remember. So it was, probably about that time. But generally that's just kind of a rough guide. It's not always exact. It's not always to the day. It's just kind of a rough guide. So I would say we're probably pretty early on Redskins, despite the fact that we're probably at about 75 to 85 days since we planted. And then we also have the Norfolk russet. Now the Norfolk russet is a new variety of russet. We don't typically plant the Norfolk variety of russet. Usually we plant the russet Burbank. However, we decided to try the Norfolk russet because it's a russet variety. It was also an earlier variety of potato. And so they both basically died at about the same time, which that is at least a relief to me, because what you typically look for in the garden, if something is kind of a red flag or something is kind of an anomaly, is that you can compare, right? So the late season varieties are still alive. The early season varieties have died. I would say both early season varieties look about the same. Now, if the early variety for the Norfolk russet was still kind of semi-thriving, or especially looked like this, I'd be like, what happened to our Redskins? What went wrong? Was there a disease? Did they die of drought, soil conditions? I don't know. But because they look exactly the same, what I can really chalk that up to is that they're ready to be harvested, and sometimes the season dictates that more than the days to maturity does. So maybe the season was just ready for them to be harvested, and now we're ready. So let's go. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to pull up these two, and I'm going to leave the Kennebecs for a later date because they are still obviously growing. All right, let's see what we got. First potato pull of the season. Hey, not too shabby. Not too bad. From one plant there, it's not terrible. It's not the best I've ever had, but it's also far from the worst. And there's lots of potatoes still under the ground there. So, okay. That's from one plant. Not too bad. All right, quick potato tip. You'll notice that our soil is very dry. I like to have very dry soil when I harvest potatoes because it makes pulling them up way simpler. It also reduces the chance of potato rot later on. It's really recommended to harvest potatoes when the soil is dry, because that reduces how much dirt is on the potato. And you'll notice the potatoes come out fairly clean. If they come out really dirty, you also don't want to wash them. You do not want to put them in a bunch of water or scrub them, because the skin is not yet cured, and the skin is very, very tender, and it will peel. If it peels, that's the only thing protecting the potato from things like mold and rot and stuff. So we're just going to leave them in here as is. We're not going to touch them, not going to scuff them, but we are harvesting when the soil is dry, and that way we're going to have the cleanest looking potatoes coming right out of the ground. So a little tip for you guys. But the other thing too, quick little note, As you'll remember, in the beginning of the season, we used alfalfa pellets for nitrogen, and we used powdered sulfur. The powdered sulfur really helps to cut down on potato scab. And what you'll notice is we have completely scab-free potatoes. That is something that will really cut down on not only the appeal of your potato, because it looks terrible, but it also really cuts down on the shelf life of your potato if it has scab. And so these potatoes are stunning. Beautiful, beautiful potatoes. All right, we're gonna keep digging. Let's see what we get. Oh, yeah, oh, you just, yeah, yes, there you go. Oh, heck yeah, those are good. Yeah, not recommended to knock them together, but yeah, it's okay.
Maybe I was just excited. I just imagined it.
Oh, please tell me I didn't break that. Oh, did I slice it?
Did.
Oh, that's why you want to be careful with the,
So can I use this one?
No, we gotta use it first.
Oh.
All right, so I'll be honest, still really impressive for what I was gonna be kind of considering to be an underwhelming potato year. This is what we got from just one row. So 4 plants, about, I'd say, 5 to 7 pounds of potatoes. That's not terrible. For Redskins, that's not too bad. So this is actually Taylor's first time pulling potatoes, so it's nice to have someone help you, but it's also kind of fun to see someone else's excitement and reaction when we pull up potatoes, because potatoes are such a fun crop to grow. They're probably one of my favorite crops to grow in the garden, honestly, because you don't know what you got till you pull them up.
Where are you at?
Also, for those wondering, this is not my wife, video editor and videographer. So we've both read the comments. Mrs. MIgardener is still very much a part of my life, very much even a part of MIgardener. So assumptions are a little preemptive, but this is Taylor. If you haven't met her, Taylor has been with us since last November. Well, since November, not last, but last year, November. And yeah, and so we're kind of just, it's fun to kind of bring her into the garden experience. She tried her first gooseberry today. She's had peas and things from the garden. It's really cool to see that excitement come on from someone that probably didn't normally, you probably didn't.
Oh no, I hated all vegetables, hated a lot of food.
Yeah, but you're getting excited about stuff, which is cool.
Really digging it up. There's a centipede.
There are. We'll work on the appreciation for bugs later. You guys, this is incredible. From just 2 rows of Redskins, we were able to fill up an entire wheelbarrow of potatoes. Check it out. Nah, I didn't say how big the wheelbarrow was, but it's still a wheelbarrow full. I think that counts. And I'm really happy with it. I could not be happier than with what we got, because honestly, I was not really expecting a whole lot of anything. I went into this, to be honest, really with pretty low expectations, because I'd never had my plants die this soon, but it does just go to show that even if you have really low expectations, sometimes things can exceed your expectations. And so what I would rather probably do next time is just say, you know what, I'll dictate how my season was when I'm done harvesting, because I had already pretty much cast off this year as kind of a meh year for potatoes. And honestly, for just 2 rows of potatoes, 2 rows of Redskins, to get about 20 pounds of potatoes isn't all that bad. That's actually right on par for what you should be getting per plant. We're right at around 2.5 pounds per plant. Not the biggest yield per plant possible. I've gotten upwards of 3.5 pounds per plant, but this is about 2.5 pounds. Not terrible for my expectations being below the dirt. All right, so we're gonna be harvesting the Norfolk russets. Now, this is the first time we've ever grown these, so I have no idea what to expect, but I will say I am very optimistic given what we got from the Redskins. Now, you'll see here, we actually have a lot more soil exposed than we did at the last shot, and that's because I didn't realize we planted 4 rows of the Redskins, which means we have an even fuller wheelbarrow of Redskins. However, we are definitely into the Norfolk russets here. Now, normally, like I said, we grow the Burback russets, and that is kind of our go-to variety. But because they were sold out, we're trying something new this year. So I have no idea, but fingers are crossed. It's going to be a good harvest for this variety. So let's see what we got. All right, ooh, good. So medium-sized potatoes, really strong roots. But let's see what we got here. This is looking really promising so far. One plant. We've got a bunch of small stuff. Now, had these plants survived a little longer, I don't know if they actually would have or not, but had they survived longer, would the potatoes gotten bigger? Maybe. I don't know, but I will take that. Well, this first plant beats out the Redskins by probably 25% more potato. So that is a really good haul from that first plant. And I probably will find a couple more as we get in here and another Redskin. But as I dig in here, I'm probably gonna find a couple more too. So this is something that I think is the final takeaway for this episode, is that, yeah, you're gonna try some things in the garden and they won't always turn out. But also, from like 2 rows, we did get about 7 pounds of potatoes. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's definitely a great yield. For the space that it took up, we're talking maybe 9 square feet for 10, 7-ish pounds of potatoes, 10 pounds of potatoes. So without weighing them, probably at around 10 pounds. And that's probably right around $6 to $8 at our grocery store. So you're still looking at about $1 per square foot. That's well within our goal for our yield per square foot. But would I grow this variety again? No, I wouldn't. And I think that's also something that's really important too, is that not everything is going to go according to plan, but you learn from your mistakes, you learn from your experiences, and this variety might just be better suited for, more, different parts of the U.S., maybe wetter parts, drier parts. I'm not sure. I don't really know this variety really well, like the back of my hand. I've been growing the russet Burbank, I don't even know, you guys will correct me, but I've been growing that variety for probably 6-7 years. This is the very first year I couldn't get my hands on it. And so I was kind of forced to plant something I've never grown before. And I'm happy with it. I'm happy that I got something. I'm just not happy with the size. I'm not happy with the fact that I got mostly like little boiler potatoes, but hey, that's how the cookie crumbled today. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little harvest video. Obviously we do have the Kennebecs behind us. Those are nice, hefty, late season potatoes, great all-purpose mashing, fry, baked potato type potatoes. Awesome, I love them. So those are gonna be harvested in probably about 2 to 3 weeks or so, maybe 4 weeks. But until that comes, well, we're gonna find something else to plant here. Maybe some beans, maybe some beets. Who knows what we'll put, something for the fall for sure. But thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. Hopefully you took something from it. Hopefully you learned something. If you've already harvested your potatoes, let me know how your harvest was in the comments box down below. And as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow bigger. Take care, everyone.